Taylor Dahl.
Hey, hey.
This is Helmets and Heels
On 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
Mia has the day off, but Taylor and I are here. RJ along for the ride as well on this Football Friday. Yeah. Look, preseason is fun, and we certainly have loved to be able to talk about Jaguars football, whether training camp practices or actual preseason games. But when everything is on the line, which happens tomorrow in Dublin, Taylor Dahl,
yes,
that's when it gets to be really a Football Friday.
Yeah, and I think that it's, as I was just doing a crosstalk with Mike, he commented how, college football, they say week 0 because they know it doesn't mean anything until the real football starts with the NFL. College football fans would disagree strongly. There's many people that say college football, they enjoy more, they care more, it's more, it's more fun. There's a lot of people that feel that way. I personally am an NFL fan over college football, but I still enjoy it. To me, it's football. And also, the big part for people that watch the NFL, if you watch college football, is seeing these players that you're going to see on your teams in the next few years. And so that adds a whole other level to me. But yeah, once you're in that point where a game that matters, and it is Florida State coming off a very unfortunate end to a season last year, and there's been a lot of talk of, Feinbaum and then other people having to defend them of really, did they get blown out that final game because they didn't care, or was it because Jordan Travis wasn't there and they weren't good? And so I think that they can prove a lot of things, not saying that this is some big, massive opponent, but Georgia Tech ended strong last year, and it is somebody that if they can dominantly and confidently win this weekend, it is kind of just like, okay, we're still here moment for Florida State.
If I'm a Florida State fan, I don't even think twice about that loss to Georgia. Was it ugly as heck? Of course it was, but most of the guys didn't play, and so I don't even think about that. I do think about the fact that the team was snubbed and deserved a chance to play in the college football playoff, and the committee decided not to do that. It will be fascinating to see what Florida State fans do when it comes to College Game Day tomorrow. Some people say that there will be tons of FSU fans and tons of signage anti-Herb Street and College Game Day in general. And then I also wonder if they go the opposite way, and that is they completely and totally avoid game day, and they basically are saying, like, we don't even want to give it any attention because we disagree so vehemently with what ESPN and specifically Kirk Herbstreit were putting out last year. So that to me is going to be fun to watch. Have you heard of Garnet the Goldfish?
I have not.
Okay. I had not either until last night. So my cousin graduated from Florida State. I have 2 cousins that went to FSU, and one is a diehard football fan, college and pro. She's also a Jags fan. So she's headed to Dublin, and she's still deciding whether she's going to watch it at a pub or watch it in the stadium because tickets are fairly expensive. But either way, she's like, it's going to be so much fun to be there. So last night she texted me, and she's like, yeah, even Garnet the Goldfish made it. And I was like, excuse me? Right? So there's a guy that since 2020, he became very famous in the FSU football world because at that time, FSU was playing then ranked number 5 North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And he had a sign that said, if FSU beats North Carolina, I will get the picture of Mike Norvell with the braided hair, the cornrows. I'll get that tattooed on my body. FSU won that game, and that guy got that tattoo. And even Mike Norvell saw it and said, these are examples of 2 bad decisions that you make when in college, which A meant his cornrows and B meant the guy getting the tattoo. I don't know why it started, and I read about it today, but the guy now brings this goldfish in a bag to every Florida State game, and he is in Dublin. And so my cousin was like, I feel so bad that he's killing these goldfish. Yeah. He claims that it's the same exact goldfish.
That would be wild.
And he makes sure that the pH levels in the bag are good and all these things. But
did it get a seat on the plane to Dublin?
That's the thing. Like, I guess it is allowed to bring on according to TSA rules, and so he is able to bring it, getting it into...
I can't bring my 4 ounces of lotion,
correct,
but he can bring
a goldfish in a bag. The whole thing is wild to me, but I'm guessing that FSU fans love this tradition now. Yeah. And he easily gets into Doak Campbell. Whether he gets into the game in Dublin tomorrow, the Aer Lingus football game, I have no idea. But just wanted to mention that.
I don't know why. I have 2 things off of this. Number 1, I'm picturing the little girl from Finding Nemo that has like the headgear and the little bag, the fish bag. That's what I'm just pictured in my head. But number 2, side story of a fish lasting that long. My aunt who lives in Vegas had a goldfish that she won at the fair, like 12-cent little game, like one of those little 12-cent goldfish she won a game at the fair, brought it home, didn't think it would last because most of those last barely any time whatsoever at all. So she had this goldfish, got just like a normal little tiny round fish bowl for it to live in. It kept like growing and growing and growing. The fish lasted 12 years.
Wow.
It ended up being, it was like almost 12 inches long by the time it died. It was huge. I was like, I don't think that was a goldfish that they sold you. But that's what I was just thinking of, like maybe this thing will start growing eventually.
Yeah, it is a fascinating story, and I am so excited for noon tomorrow for kickoff between these two teams. We were chatting before the show about how we feel like there's nothing else for us to learn, right? Because you can only go off of last year what both teams did, and certainly Georgia Tech has a lot of players returning on offense. Florida State has far fewer players returning on offense.
Yeah.
Certainly a lot of the defense is back, but some got drafted, but they still have guys that certainly played in rotation last year, and the secondary started a lot of games last year. But Georgia Tech's offense, are they going to be as explosive as they were to end the season last year? And I feel like it's strength on strength because FSU's defense is so incredibly talented. But here's a stat that I wanted to, we've talked about Haynes King all week, but here's a stat I wanted people to know about just how good Haynes King is. Last season, he joined Jaden Daniels, a.k.a. the Heisman Trophy winner, as the only Power 5 conference player with at least 2,800 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, 700 rushing yards, and 10 rushing touchdowns. That is an impressive feat.
Yeah.
Again, only Jaden Daniels did that. Jaden Daniels is now going to start for the Washington Commanders when it comes to the NFL season. So I do think FSU has a lot of really talented defensive players, but they do have some questions at linebacker. And are they able to contain a guy like Haynes King, and then certainly the guy like Jamal Haynes as well, the running back who he was the first running back for Georgia Tech to have over 1,000 or over 800 yards since 2018.
Yeah, it is going to be fascinating. And when we were talking to Rick the other day, and I brought up that question of the confidence level of being able to stop the run, because I feel like here we've talked a ton about Florida State's strength being their run game, but Georgia Tech is the same way. But we also talk about Florida State's other biggest strength being their defensive front and those linebackers and how they can kind of approach that run game. So it will be fascinating to me to see if Georgia Tech, number one, can run the ball still against some of these guys that are massive on the Florida State line. But if they can't, how confident are they in putting the ball completely in Haynes King's hands, and how well he can kind of work with this offense that you mentioned. The only new piece they have in their starters is their right guard. Everybody else is a returner. So that is a benefit, I think, especially in week 0, because you're not worried. If this was a week 6, 7 game, it may be a little bit different because Florida State now has had time to kind of work with the new pieces, which is 5 new starting offensive pieces. And so, but week 0, being able to come in and knowing that the only thing that has adjusted on that starting offense for you is your right guard, I think is very beneficial for Georgia Tech.
Yeah, certainly, and especially in the situation, too, the environment. You're playing not only in a neutral site game, you're playing in another country, and so the travel and all that goes into it. FSU, though, I'll say this. If FSU rushes for over 150 yards, FSU wins the game. That's my philosophy. That means that they're not asking DJ Uiagalelei to do too much. And look, he may be really good. Maybe in Mike Norvell's system, he's going to be better than he's been in the other 2 previous stops. But I think for week 0, you don't try and ask him to do too much. You don't put him under too much pressure. And you've got such talented running backs. And the main thing to me is for FSU, that offensive line. It's one of the most experienced in all of the country. And so to me, FSU is going to say old school football. Yeah. We are running the football, and we're going to see if the run can maybe open up the pass, but we're going to ground and pound, and our defense is going to play smart and contain Haynes King and Jamal Haynes. And I said 800-yard rusher, first 800-yard rusher since 2018. I was right the first time. First 1,000-yard rusher since 2018. And they also have a talented sophomore receiver, Eric Singleton Jr. He had over 800 yards last year. And so I think FSU has a better roster. I think FSU wins the football game. But if for some reason it's close down the stretch, we're going to see, I think, some fireworks tomorrow early afternoon our time, and then certainly nighttime in Dublin. Yeah, and then also 2 teams coming off a very different end to their seasons too, because we talked about the Florida State side of it and not getting in, not getting into the playoff and the loss to Georgia. But then you look at Georgia Tech on the other side, and they went 4-2 in their last 6 games. Their only 2 losses were against Georgia and Clemson.
And so they kind of probably feel like they have this momentum going into the season, especially with the amount of guys that have returned. For Florida State, not only is it kind of a sour taste towards the end, which they could use that they could use that as fuel. They could use that as fire. And we've seen college football teams do that before. But it is more of a sour taste coming out of last season towards the end. And then in addition to that, a lot of new pieces that they're trying to figure out. We've talked offensively, but also a guy like Jared Verse, who played just such a massive role when it came to rushing the passer and kind of shutting certain things down when it came to opposing offenses. So them figuring that out with the addition of Marvin Jones Jr. and then Peyton is one of the other guys that they're kind of relying on taking a bigger step this year. So it'll be fun. It's going to be a fun game to watch because I do think it is strength on strength and which strength wins in this game.
Yes. So tomorrow, noon kickoff. I've been looking forward to this one for a while. And like I said earlier this week, it's a stress-free day for me. It's a stress-free day for you. If you're not a Florida State or Georgia Tech fan, you get to just enjoy the football game, and that'll be fun. Speaking of non-stress-free, that'll be, to me, the preseason game tonight between the Jaguars and the Falcons. Every preseason game, I'm stressed about the potential for injuries. Yeah. And the fact that you have the starters for the Jaguars going up against backups for the Falcons is a bit of a dangerous thing to me because those guys are trying to make the 53-man roster, so they're going to do everything in their power to look really good and put film on tape. And even if it's not making the Falcons, it's maybe making another roster. I wish that the Falcons were playing their starters tonight. I really am annoyed with Raheem Morris, and even though I understand he comes from the Sean McVay tree, still, I feel like there should be a handshake before the game between the coaches. We're going to play the starters, so we're going to play the starters.
Yeah, and it's such a weird approach for Atlanta, and like we said, we know it's kind of been the history of what he's done, but the approach is odd considering you have a Kirk Cousins who people aren't totally sure he's 100% and ready to go at the level you've seen before coming off an Achilles. And then you have a rookie quarterback behind him who hasn't seen any snaps in the NFL. And if things don't go the way you want with Kirk, you're going to have to play him and then he has nothing. It's interesting. And then in addition to that, you do have a lot of new pieces that you're also trying to kind of figure out and mesh together. I'm not asking you to play a half of that, a half with these guys if you're that guy who wants to kind of be a little hesitant with it. But getting these guys just on the field and feeling that game day, the game day feeling vibe, especially for the younger ones, I do think is important. I saw three guys get carted off during the three Bears get carted off last night. And at that moment, I was like, this is why the preseason games are scary. And I want to say luckily, but it's not because I don't want to see anybody get injured. But it was further down the depth chart, guys that were getting banged up. That's not what you want to see when you're playing your starters. Those aren't the injuries that you want to see happen. So it is one of the games where you kind of hold your breath the whole time, but you do also, you're looking for certain things. And we've talked about it here, our depth charts, and we made ours before camp started. I'm excited to kind of see what they look like after this game for us and then when the final cuts are made. But there are things that a lot of us do want to see tonight of deciding our depth charts and what this offense and defense can look like.
Yeah, but at least for the Jaguars fans, they do get to see Trevor Lawrence. Yep. I assume they'll get to see the starting 5 offensive linemen that will start week 1. I would assume we'll get to see some Brian Thomas Jr. Yeah, we will not get to see Christian Kirk. We'll see about Evan Ingram and Travis Etienne, guys like that certainly have played a long time in the NFL at this point. But either way, it would have been more fun if we had seen Michael Penix Jr. taking the field for the Falcons and some of their starters too, a Kyle Pitts and a Drake London. But like you said, that's not the decision that they made, nor is that the decision that they've made pretty much the entire preseason. We have a congratulations for our contest winner.
We do. So we obviously, if people had been listening, we were giving away a Vegas hotel package because we are going to be in Vegas for the Jags-Raiders game. And so great deal to where the person gets a 3-night stay in Vegas, a $200 voucher. They get a day bed at the Heels Huddle that we'll be having during that time. And so I wanted to say congratulations to William Glocker and his wife. He said they're both very excited to go. They're going to come in and kind of do some fun stuff with us to promote the package that we do have. So if you did not win, you still have the chance to get a really good deal on this hotel package if you are going to Vegas to see the Jags.
Circa Resort and Casino.
Yes, head over to there. The link is on our main page on our website too. So if you go directly, you can book everything through there and you'll get all the discounts. It'll tell you everything you get in it.
Excellent. Like we said, congrats to William Glocker. We will see you in Vegas. We have a loaded show today. Frank Frangie will join us at 12:40 from up in Atlanta to preview Jaguars Falcons. But coming up next, we will chat with PFF analyst Dalton Wasserman to talk Jaguars and college football. You are listening to Helmets and Heels. Today is always a Sunshine Turf Friday. You can give them a call at 904-892-0580 or visit sunshineturf.info. had a chance to have breakfast with Caleb and his team earlier this week, and they are so busy, and there's a reason for that. That's because they do such a fantastic job. You can see it all also at 1010XL's Instagram. We'll be back to chat football with Dalton Wasserman of PFF next on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
There's a new one-stop shop for all things Jags. Subscribe to the 1010XL Jaguars YouTube channel. One-on-one interviews with players, practice footage, podcasts, and more. If you're looking for the best Big Cat coverage around, look no further. 1010XL Jaguars on YouTube.
At Hodges Mazda, what Mazda moves you? Find out. Lauren Brooks here. Come test drive the Mazda CX-90, engineered to fit your lifestyle. Take advantage of 1.9% APR for up to 72 months on a 2024 Mazda CX-90, the largest three-row SUV that Mazda offers. Our professional non-commissioned sales team always puts your best interest first, and you'll get 2 years free maintenance. Visit Hodges Mazda today or shop online at HodgesMazda.com to discover the Hodges Mazda difference. See dealer for details. Terms and fees for qualified applicants expire September 3rd, 2024.
The hottest trend in casual dining has expanded in Jacksonville with its 5th location off 103rd. The Flame Broiler serves up protein-packed rice bowls. It's fast, healthy, and affordable. Order online at flamebroilerusa.com or visit any of our 5 locations. Flame Broiler, simply healthy.
I'm Ben from Beard's Diamonds. My father and I buy our stones direct from the diamond cutters. No middleman, no big company overhead, no commission salespeople, and we pass the savings on to you. Before you buy anywhere else, remember, Beard's Diamonds will beat any competitor's price.
In the St. John's Town Center or at beardsdiamonds.com. Sunshine Turf Friday.
Mia here. Are you ready for the ultimate college football season? Using MyBookie Sportsbook and casino platform, you can bet on every game and win anytime, anywhere, straight from your mobile device. No app needed. Just head on over to mybookie.ag, sign up, and you're ready to rock. When you bet with MyBookie, you're not just watching the games, folks. You're investing in every moment of the action. I'll say it from experience. A few bucks on the line can turn any regular game into one of the most exciting of the season. Literally, every catch, every sack, and every touchdown is another way to hit pay dirt using MyBookie. Don't forget to use promo code 1010XL when you sign up in order to claim up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. And don't forget that promo code 1010XL.
Well, all the news forecasts say that home prices are expected to decline in 2025. Hey, that's great if you're buying a home. But if you're selling one, you might want to get to it. And when it comes to selling your home, the agents you should trust are Chad and Sandy Newman at chadandsandy.com. Maybe you want maximum equity from your home, but you're not sure how. And you don't want to worry about costly repairs or upgrades needed to sell your home. Those things are all out with Chad and Sandy. They're the local real estate experts you can trust, and I recommend for the sale of your home, or for the sale of mine for that matter. Maybe I should look into it. Hey, don't trust me. Trust Jacqueline from Biscayne Estates. My inherited home became a nightmare when it went unsold for 177 days and ended up with a large lien. With expenses mounting for my handicapped daughter and no way to pay, I was desperate. At this point, I turned to Chad and Sandy. The change was amazing. Chad and Sandy sold my home in 3 days at a higher than asking price. Find out for yourself at chadandsandy.com or 904-414-6200.
Break bread with Dan, Jeff, and PGA Tour insiders on Brunch with the Tour.
What is brunch? Tour news, tips, and inside info.
Brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation. Brunch provided by Chick-fil-A. Tuesday morning at 8:30
on 1010XL.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists returns with their free bumps and bruises evaluation clinics. Now with 4 locations, these free injury assessments are open to all schools and athletic programs. Saturday mornings from 9 to 10 through October 26th at Cortex Sports Performance in Ponte Vedra, Preferred PT in Fleming Island, and also at Brooks Rehab on Centurion Parkway and Brooks Rehab at World Golf Village.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
Oh, I can't believe tax season is here already. Look at all this info I have to enter.
Phil's small accounting firm is growing in numbers.
Why didn't I take that typing class in high school?
A data entry specialist could really help him in a crunch.
I got blisters on my fingers.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Josie for Hard Rock Bet. It's Florida's only legal sportsbook. Hard Rock Bet is the way to go. Easy sign up, fast deposits and withdrawals, PayPal, Venmo, cards, and more. They take them all. And we're talking hundreds of props, parlays, live play-by-play betting across every sport. And you can bet from anywhere in the state of Florida. If your first bet doesn't win, you get up to $100 back for another shot. Download Hard Rock Bet now or go online at hardrock.bet.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Football is here, and I know we're excited. I know who else is excited, and that is Dalton Wasserman. He's PFF data analyst and co-host of the PFF College Football Show. Dalton, thanks for hopping on with us. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys. I'll tell you what, it's real exciting. We're inside of 2 weeks from the NFL. We're 1 day away from college football, and it's going to be a massive roller coaster with both seasons.
Yes, we have talked a ton about everything as we're talking about camps and preseasons, but now the football is actually here, and that's when you actually get to see the product that your football team can put on the field. We do want to get to college football, but let's start right here with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I want to address one of the bigger issues of last season when it came to the offense, and that was being able to run the ball. And we've talked about it a ton here. And now through the beginning of the preseason, Dalton, it kind of looks like there's similar issues because they're just not able to really get any rushing yards before contact. Everything is having to come after contact. Luckily, Tank Bigsby's been able to kind of make that his role recently. But what are your thoughts on the run game in general in Jacksonville, Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby, and then also how that kind of can open up the offense moving forward?
I mean, Etienne and Bigsby are both solid players, and Etienne actually, for us, led the league in missed tackles forced last season. I really don't think it's a running back issue at all. This was a bottom three offensive line in football last year, I believe, along with the Jets and the Giants, and it really killed their whole season. They had the second worst run blocking grade for us last season, and we saw with Trevor Lawrence getting injured late in the year. I mean, they didn't protect him either. The offensive line is the X factor in this whole thing. You mentioned, and the yards before contact thing is a great thing to mention because no matter how talented your backs are, you have to allow them space to operate, right? And a guy like Travis Etienne is so good in the open field at making people miss and getting out in space and scoring touchdowns and doing all those things. But no matter how talented your skill players are, your offensive line has to perform. And it is a question mark. I know they brought in Mitch Morse at center, and last year midseason they traded for Ezra Cleveland, but they really need that unit to be more consistent to compete with Houston at the top of the division and other elite teams in the AFC.
Dalton, when it comes to the quarterback behind that offensive line, Trevor Lawrence, when he got paid, were you surprised? Certainly around here, we were not. But what do you expect for him this season as well?
I wasn't surprised at all. I personally still think he's very well could be, and he is a top 10 quarterback in this league. When he's protected, he can throw the ball with the likes of anybody. We talk about Josh Allen and Justin Herbert and throwing the ball downfield, and Trevor Lawrence is just as good as they are. Are there times where he has to kind of gunsling it? Maybe there's a time or two here and there he forces it a little too much. Maybe, but I think especially you mentioned the lack of a running game. He kind of has to sometimes, right? I like that they brought in Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas as deep threats, right? Last year you had one in Calvin Ridley. Now you have two of them. Brian Thomas has explosive speed out of LSU, but I expect a good year from Lawrence as long as he's protected. I'm a big believer in him.
Now, on the other side of the ball, Dalton, we talked about a ton, Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker, and the season that they had last year was just an absolute force. But the problem was most of the sacks came just solely from them. Now they add Eric Armstead, getting some pass rush up the middle. What do you think about this defense, and what are you expecting from Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker to kind of continue as their career goes on?
Armstead's a big add. I mean, he was coming off a big year in San Francisco, right? I think to add an interior pass rush element to where, especially in Allen's case as being really their best player, protections can slide towards them, and you talk about double teams, and if you don't have an interior presence in there, it makes things a lot easier, right? When your center can go one-on-one with somebody, when your guards can protect one-on-one. Armstead's an elite pass rusher. Obviously, he's in San Francisco forever. He was a part of two teams that went to the Super Bowl. I think it was a really good ad for them. I think it takes a lot of pressure off of Allen and Walker. I think it creates a more balanced approach to their pass rush. And I mean, Eric Armstead had the 5th best pass rush grade for us in the league last year among defensive tackles. This is an elite pass rusher that adds just another dimension to Allen, who's really, really good, and Trayvon Walker, who's still developing but had, 10 or 11 sacks last year. So that could be a really good unit if they can pin their ears back.
Certainly. All right, let's get it to college football and the game tomorrow in Ireland. Which quarterback is going to have the better game? Which quarterback is the better quarterback between DJ Uiagalelei and Haynes King?
It's incredibly close. I have them very, very closely ranked in my quarterback rankings. I have DJ slightly ahead of Haynes King, but King is a dynamic dual threat player. His feet are actually going to be the biggest problem for Florida State defense. They do a lot of different things, a lot of motion. They have a lot of rushing threats on their team. His feet especially, and if he can keep the turnovers down, King's going to cause a lot of problems. But there's a lot of variance in his game. I'll go with DJ Uiagalelei just by a slight bit right now, but that could change as soon as tomorrow.
When we're talking about that Haynes King, because I know that Georgia Tech relied heavily on their run game last season, and that's kind of what the focus when we're talking to Florida State guys of, if you can kind of slow down or eliminate that run game, forcing Haynes King to throw the ball may be what they need to do. Do you think that if he is forced to throw a little bit more, that he will be okay in this week 0 game?
I do, and I think there's going to be a big premium on who scores first and who gets an early lead, because I think both teams want to establish the run. One of the advantages Florida State has in this game, they have still, even though they lost guys like Jarion Jones and Renardo Green, they still have some talented players in their secondary, and they run a lot of press man coverage. And Georgia Tech's receivers are speedy, but they're small, so they don't really want to be physical like that. If Georgia Tech does fall behind, I really wonder how tight the windows are going to be for Haynes King to throw into. But I think the biggest premium in this game is on who scores first. If somebody can get the run game going early and get a 10-point lead, that applies on both sides. But Florida State, I think, has one big advantage in their secondary against the smaller receivers of Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I got to see FSU practice here in Jacksonville a couple weeks ago, and their secondary didn't allow DJ to do much. They're offensively, they're fun to watch. Dalton Wasserman with us, the PFF College Football co-host, alongside Max Chadwick, who we've had on Helmets and Heels before, and also PFF data analyst. All right, Dalton, when it comes to FSU's run game, to flip to the other side, last year they had about 2,100 rushing yards and 32 rushing touchdowns, which is insane to me. But they lose, obviously, Trey Benson, but they have the great offensive line. How does their run game look?
I think the bigger question for me, more than Benson, because I think Lawrence Tofili, who I actually used to coach against down in St. Pete when I lived down there, he's got a lot of talent. Roydell Williams has talent. The question for me is the drop-off from Jordan Travis in the run game, who played a huge part in it, to DJ Uiagalelei, who you kind of always think is big and fast enough to have that talent to add to the run game, but at Oregon State and even at Clemson, didn't get too much into the design run game. One of the things I'm curious to see for this offense is how much does DJ get involved in the designed run game? We know he can scramble and he's big and he's 250 pounds and he can run, but is that thrown in the same way, or at least to some extent, the same way it was for Jordan Travis, who was an excellent, excellent player in the run game and everything Mike Norvell wanted to do? If DJ runs less than Jordan did, then there will be a little bit of a drop off. But at running back, you still have some talented players.
I want to take a zoom out a little bit of the college football full look as we're approaching the season and the SEC. Down here, there's a lot of different kind of takes of who could possibly win the SEC, and I think a lot of people could argue many ways. You have the Georgia Alabamas on top, but with the addition, Dalton, of Texas and Oklahoma, and then you're talking about a Mizzou, and you're talking about LSU and Ole Miss, what does that top 5 teams in the SEC look like for you right now?
It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, I do think the Georgia Revenge Tour is going to be on, because they only lost the one game last year, and I think they're going to be angry coming into this year. But Alabama is still really talented, and Kalen DeBoer is a great coach. Ole Miss very well may be a top 5 team in the country, not just the SEC. They were already talented and explosive, and they added pieces to their defense. Missouri is loaded, absolutely loaded on offense, and they're in their second year under offensive coordinator Kirby Moore, and they have probably the most favorable schedule in the SEC. Missouri's schedule is going to allow them to do some things. Only a couple of tough games. The biggest one is at Alabama sometime in November, I believe. And then I think a sleeper team, just another scheduled team, and we'll see if their quarterback develops early, but is Tennessee as well could make some noise. If they can find enough on defense and Nico Iamaleava, if he can develop early in his career, and we saw what he could do against Iowa in their bowl game, it's going to be a lot of fun at the top of the SEC with the top 6 or 7.
Yeah, I'm very excited that we have week 0 tomorrow. Some people don't really understand why week 0 versus just calling it week 1, but I love when we have kind of the games trickle in ahead of week 1 because it's hard to watch, as you know, Dalton, it's hard to watch every game all at once.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like that appetizer, right? You're like, oh, we're here, and then we're almost to the full thing. And it's a really good game they put in Ireland this year. Is that the last couple of years we've kind of got some duds. This is going to be a tight game. I know Florida State is a 10, 11-point favorite on most boards, but I'm telling you right now, Georgia Tech and their run game is a real threat. It's going to be an awesome game tomorrow.
For sure. It's like the buffalo chicken dip ahead of the dinner.
I was about to say,
Absolutely.
I love that description because I'm an appetizer girl.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's just it's the best way to put it. And then we're going to get the same thing the week after with the NFL to a Thursday and then Friday, and it's like, okay, let's go. Come on, let's get to the full thing already.
I love it. I do want to, before we let you go, ask you one more final and kind of going back to the Jags real quick because the Jags' new defensive coordinator and Ryan Nielsen coming from Atlanta. How do you think that's going to affect what he was able to do with Atlanta's defense last season, and then now what it could look like for the Jags this year?
I think it's a pretty similar philosophy. Atlanta didn't blitz a lot last year, from what I remember, and I think the biggest thing is just going to be they need to be more sound in coverage. And Atlanta, when they were healthy and they had Jesse Bates back there on the back end, they were sound in coverage, and their run defense was really, really good. I think maybe even, adding in Armstead and getting Nielsen, who had a really good run defense in Atlanta, maybe that's the key is, look, we talked about needing to run the ball on the offensive side. Well, we need to stop the run on the defensive side, too. We just need to get more physical as an entire team. We've got talented guys on the back end like Tyson Campbell to work with. They do. They need to get better in the trenches this year if they're going to play with the better teams. Because even though teams like the Ravens and the Chiefs, you've got flash at quarterback with Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, they're really good in the trenches, and that's why they're sustainably good. The Jaguars need to get there on both sides of the ball.
Yep, we love the trenches. Dalton Wasserman, PFF data analyst and co-host of the PFF College Football Show. Thank you so much, and enjoy your college football weekend.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me on.
Thank you.
You can find him at PFF_Dalton.
Yes, and I did, too, want to say PFF is having their preseason flash annual sale for PFF Plus, so you can access premium stats, all the PFF grades for NFL and NCAA all season. You can also get a ton of fantasy tools for the fantasy people out there, premium content from the PFF writers like Dalton and like Trevor Sikkema. Use the code PFF25 at checkout, and you get 25% off for that.
There you go. We will continue the Jaguars talk as Frank Frangie, voice of the Jaguars, joins us from Hotlanta next on a Sunshine Turf Friday on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jennifer, Luxury has a new address in Jacksonville.
Oh, do tell, John.
Randy Marion Cadillac on Southside Boulevard. We've got over 40 Cadillac Lyrics in stock.
40? That's incredible. Any color you want?
You bet. Pick your color and drive away today. Plus, we're giving away a free home charger with every Lyric.
Fantastic. Anything else?
How about a car you'll never have to change the oil on?
No oil changes ever? Now that's luxury.
Randy Marion Cadillac, where Jacksonville meets luxury.
Visit us today on Southside Boulevard and tell them Jennifer sent ya.
Mia O'Brien here for my friends at Duck Duck Rooter. If water flows through it, the team at Duck Duck can install it or repair it. From septic tank pump outs, drain field installations, clogged drains, water heaters to repipes, they do it all. And they do it well. But don't just take my word for it. Check out the reviews on Google and see what customers just like you are saying about their experience with Duck Duck Rooter. Duck Duck Rooter is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit duckduckrooter.com to schedule service today.
Yo, If you've been following me on MyBookie, you will know that I'm hitting for straight cash, homie. It's your boy E.T. And are you ready for the ultimate college football season? Using MyBookie's sportsbook and casino platform, you can bet on every game and win anytime, anywhere, straight from your mobile device. No app necessary. Just click on the link, sign up, and you're ready to rock. Did you know that the average college football game runs about 180 plays? Every catch, sack, and touchdown is another way to hit that straight cash, homie, using MyBookie. And when you bet with MyBookie, you're not just watching the games, you're investing in every moment of the action. And I'm speaking from experience. A few bucks on the line can turn any regular game into one of the most exciting games of the season. So make sure you head over to MyBookie. And don't forget to use promo code TINTONXL when signing up to claim that $1,000 bonus on the first deposit. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Come on, somebody.
Mia here, and when I was buying a new construction home last summer, there was no question. Dreamfinders Homes was the builder for me. A big reason why? Their unbeatable interest rates. Right now, you can take advantage of a 2.99% year one rate. Find your dream home, take advantage of unbeatable rates, and move in today. I'll say it again, 2.99% year one. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's a Sunshine Turf Friday.
The highest quality artificial turf at affordable prices.
Visit sunshineturf.info today.
Ever wonder how you can transform your living spaces into captivating works of art? At First Coast Lighting and Fans, they offer a huge selection of high-quality products to match your desire for elegance, quality, and uniqueness. Visit their showroom on Phillips Highway at the Avenues and step into a world of quality without compromise. Discover the difference that locally owned expertise makes and let them help you experience the transformation from average to extraordinary. At First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? If you have questions, call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700. Office is Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
Staying active no matter what your age is key to living life at its fullest. And Rebound Rehabilitation wants you to know they can get you back up to speed and back in the game pain-free. Rebound Rehabilitation with 8 locations across the First Coast, top-of-the-line therapists ready to assist you. From neck and back pain, knee or foot pain, they can help. Excellent patient care combined with the highest quality in rehabilitation services. Look for a Rebound Rehab location near you and get back in the game. Log on, reboundrehab.com.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On August 23rd, 1936, 17-year-old Cleveland Indians future Baseball Hall of Fame pitcher Bob Feller retired 15 batters in his first MLB start.
Lauren Brooks here. If you're in pain and you think you've tried everything, I've got a solution for you. The team at Active Health Jacks treats the source of the problem, not just the pain, so you can avoid surgery, cortisone injections, and pain medications. I've had neck aches for years, and I've tried everything from acupunctures to massages with no results. Within minutes of my evaluation and treatment, the tension was gone. It was amazing. Active Health Jacks can help you too. Give them a call at 904-296-0202 today or visit them online at activehealthjacks.com.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval Sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval Sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Duval. Jaguars football is officially back. Be there for the Jaguars 2024 home opener when they go head-to-head with the Cleveland Browns. Join us as we celebrate Hispanic heritage and take the field at Everbank Stadium for the first time during our 30th season. Lock in your seats now for the 1 p.m. kick by going to jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. We can't wait to see you back at the bank.
This is Hayes Carlion for Skylife Elite. Have you ever thought about aircraft ownership as another potential revenue stream and as a tool for tax savings? Put your tax money to work for you while enjoying the benefits of private personal travel. SkyLife Elite has over a decade of experience in business aviation and can guide you through the process with their expert staff. Call my friends over at SkyLife Elite at 490-9332 or find them at flyskylife.com to get the rundown on everything owning an airplane can do for you.
Want to show your kids something really cool? Take them by the Kuhn Flowers window display on Beach Boulevard. 1010XL's RJ Saunders here, and there's no better way to introduce your kids to Kuhn Flowers. For over 75 years, Kuhn Flowers.
This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan, head team physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jags, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
The Jags are back in action tonight as they take on the Atlanta Falcons to wrap up their preseason. QB Trevor Lawrence spoke on the importance of getting live reps with the starting O-line.
Especially the guys up front and feeling the pocket. I don't get hit out here, and it's in the game. It's a different sense of urgency as far as my time clock, getting the ball out, and also just seeing different pressures and stuff. Because there's sometimes in practice you'll get beat on a pressure, like I don't see it, and they make us hot. And in practice, it's like in the game, it's like it's smoked if I don't get out of here. So all those different things, it just feels different. So I think it's good to have your starting line kind of test some of your protections as well. Like you do some new stuff, and you want to see how it holds up against a live look.
Jags and Falcons will kick off tonight at 7 o'clock. Sound courtesy of Jaguars.com. I'm Molly McDonald with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Taylor Dull, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks with you on this Sunshine Turf Friday as we welcome in from somewhere sunny in Atlanta, Frank Frangie, the play-by-play voice of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Frank, where are you now?
I'm back in my room, but I went through Macon, Tifton, stopped by Valdosta. Boy, it is a beautiful day here, Lauren. It's about 68 degrees when I walked outside and a little breezy, and it's the kind of days we're going to have in a couple months maybe in Jacksonville, but it's beautiful here, and it's a great day for indoor football.
68 degrees. Yeah. So you were wearing a sweatshirt and sweatpants then?
Normally I would be. Yeah, I would. It was exactly right. It's beautiful here today, and one more final preseason tune-up for the Jaguars.
I love it, Frank. I think that we've talked about this when preseason first started and when camp first started, and how exciting it is, and it gives you that first day of school vibes because it just feels like you get to see some sort of football. But then towards the end of the preseason, you're kind of like, okay, we're ready for things to matter, ready for the games that count. What is your overall vibe, Frank, of where this team is at heading into the start of this season?
Oh, I think they got a good team, Taylor. I said this on our show. This is the best roster they've had in my 11 years of doing these games. It'll be the best team. Now you still got to do it. That doesn't speak to how many games they're going to win or lose, and it's a tough schedule at the start. Everybody knows that, but I think it's the best collection of players. They'll have the best 53 they've had in my 11 years, and not only the best roster, but the best combination of experience, understanding of what they're doing, a good plan defensively. It'll go. In my opinion, they'll go into the season. It's the best football team they will have had in my 11 years of doing these games. So I'm excited about it, and tonight will be fun because for the first half, you're going to see their football team. You're going to get a pretty good idea of who they are in the first half tonight.
I sure wish that the Falcons were playing starters, Frank, but alas, that's Raheem Morris's decision, and Doug Peterson is going to play the starters, like you said. As far as the offseason additions, they obviously added Mitch Morse and Eric Armstead and Darnell Savage and Ronald Darby, Devin Duvernay, the list goes on. But I've said I think the most important offseason acquisition that they made was Ryan Nielsen. What say you?
I agree with you. I think you're exactly right because they weren't in the right defense for the personnel, and it wasn't just that, Lauren. They were confused, and this isn't to rag on Mike Caldwell. He did the best he could. He's a good linebackers coach, and I hope Mike gets another chance to coordinate. But they were confused, the communication. Anytime you see defensive players looking at the sideline with their palms in the air, that means they're not sure what to do. They tried to do maybe too many things. My guess is Ryan is simplifying what they're doing defensively. Doug Peterson told me on there when we had him on that Ryan wants to get him in and out of the huddle, no confusion. You know, and I've heard a lot of coaches say this, Lauren, a confused player almost looks like a player that's not tough because he doesn't know where to be. And it's not that he's not tough. It's that he doesn't know where to be. And I don't think that's going to be the case. So I think Ryan Nielsen will make a difference. And I think this team, particularly the defensive front, fits a 4-3 better than it does a 3-4. You never needed Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker dropping into coverage. It was just never a good idea. Put your hand on the ground and get after the quarterback or stuff the run. So, yeah, I like what I think they're going to be. And, again, you'll get an idea tonight. No, the Falcons aren't playing anybody. But you'll see how at least it's going to look when the Jaguars do it. That'll be fun.
There were two things, Frank, that in the beginning of camp that we said we were most interested in, just kind of seeing how they all played out, at least when it comes to the depth part, and that's going to be the cornerback room or the DBs in general, I guess I can say, and the wide receivers. And so now I think for the most part, we're looking at a Gabe, BTJ, Kirk, Duvernay, Washington are the five that I think most people would agree we're going to see going into the season. But there are some things that we're going to be watching tonight, Frank, that may determine some of these other guys. And I do think a part of that is the special teams factor. Is that something that you agree with?
Oh, yeah. I think, Taylor, when you get to the sixth wide receiver, you named the first five. Well, the sixth wide receiver is between Tim Jones and Elijah Cooks. Elijah Cooks is a better receiver than Tim Jones. I don't think there's any debating that. He's faster. He's got that long wingspan. He goes up and gets balls. I think Elijah Cooks can play receiver in the NFL. I think they think that. But the truth is Tim Jones is a better special teams player, and he's a really good special teams player. And when you get, he plays all core four special teams. And when you get to receiver number 6, he's probably not going to be in the game very much as a receiver. If your number 6 receiver is playing much receiver, your team's not very good. That means you got a bunch of guys hurt. So I'm guessing, but I would think Tim Jones makes the team and Elijah Cooks doesn't. Now that's me guessing. Same thing in the secondary. I think you know your first 3 cornerbacks. I think obviously Darby and Savage if he plays in the nickel, and of course Tyson Campbell's a cornerback. But other than that, yeah, Jarian Jones is in the hunt. Trey Prince, who they really like, is in the hunt. Christian Braswell's in the hunt. Monteric Brown is in the hunt. They got a lot of guys, and they can't keep all of them. I think they're going to keep 10 defensive backs, safeties, and corners together. So someone's going to be the odd man out. Taylor, the other spot is the offensive line. Mm-hmm. I think the offensive front. They have more good offensive linemen than they've had. Cole Van Lanen has had what Doug told me was the best camp of his life. He's probably playing better than he's ever played as a football player in college, pro, and I think he's going to be on the team. And I'm not sure people expected that at the early part of camp. He was at times was a punchline in the past, but he's had a heck of a camp. So who does that push out, and what happens, and how many do they keep? So again, the exciting part for fans tonight. The fun part for us is going to be that first half when all the stars that you know are in. But the important part for a handful of players is that second half when they're playing and what they do on special teams. You're exactly right.
Frank Frangie with us, the play-by-play voice of the Jaguars. You'll hear him on the call tonight alongside Jeff Logman and Tony Baselli. All right, Frank, about 4 months ago, we had you on the show for the media mock draft, and you predicted that the Jaguars with the 17th overall pick would take Brian Thomas Jr. Of course, Trent Baalke traded back. The Jaguars took him with the 23rd pick. But what have your impressions been so far of BTJ?
He could change the team, Lauren. Now, listen, he's a rookie. So, you know what he's going to do? He's going to drop a pass here or there. He's going to run a wrong route somewhere along the line because that's what rookies do. I don't think he's the guy you're going to rely on playing and play out on 3rd and 8. I think that's Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram and maybe Gabe Davis. So I think he's not going to have the volume of catches, in my opinion. But, he can stretch the field. They haven't had, and we've all talked about this, they haven't had an explosive receiver who can consistently run by people, really, since Jimmy Smith. I mean, they really haven't had that since Jimmy Smith in the 90s. And I think for the first time they've got that. Again, he's going to – and here's the other thing, too, that I like, Lauren. The word is out now. The word is out that he's a stretch-the-field guy. I think everybody kind of knows that now. And defense – I think it's great that that's on tape. I think because that'll affect how defense plays the Jags. I'd throw it deep to him 3 or 4 times tonight, and I'd put it on tape, and I want the Miami Dolphins to see that tape. I want them to see him going deep because that's not a surprise, right? You know he's going to do it. Well, if you're worried about it more, you play softer coverage because of that, and then all of a sudden those crossing routes that Christian Kirk is so good at in that mid-range game where Evan Ingram always sits down in those zones, well, there's more of that available. So I think he's going to be a really good player. I mean, a really good player. I think he's going to be a star in the NFL. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be Jamar Chase, Jordan Jefferson, but I'll tell you what, I'll bet or Justin Jefferson, but I'll bet he's going to be that kind of player. I'll bet he's going to be a really good player in time for them. This year, I think he's a guy that'll stretch the field, and I think you're going to see that early on.
Yeah, I think that here in Jacksonville and nationally, Frank, we've seen a ton about BTJ and just his abilities. And there's a reason that he had as many touchdowns as he did in college. And people are expecting that maybe there's a little bit of a learning curve to start off. But I think most people are in agreement with you when it comes to it's somebody we're going to be talking about a while here in Jacksonville. I want to ask you, when it comes to the start of training camp and where the Jaguars are right now, if you were to name a player that to you moved up kind of in your rankings or expectations from the start of camp to now, who would that player be?
Well, the two guys, I don't know if it's the start of camp till now, Taylor, but the two guys that are way ahead of where anybody thought they would be going into camp, I'll take it that way. All right. So the two guys that had the enormous off-season, enormous camp are Tank Bigsby and Parker Washington. Those are the two guys, both drafted last year, that really looked overmatched last year. They really looked like they were out of sorts. People wondered if they missed on both guys. They might have wondered it a little bit. Both guys had great off seasons. They're in phenomenal shape. I think Tank Bigsby is going to be that downhill runner that they didn't have. Travis Etienne's a terrific player. I think he's one of the best 4 or 5 backs in the league. But he's a space back. He's an air back, as my friend Pete Prisco likes to call him. He's not a downhill runner. He can do it, but that's not what he does best. Tank Bigsby's going to get those pads low and go right at you, and they needed a guy to do that. And Parker Washington's a really good fourth receiver. He's more of a slot receiver by trade, but I think he can do a lot of things. Both those guys had big off seasons that had big camps. So in terms of someone who's grown since camp started, I don't know if there's a guy that jumps off the page for me there. But as far as two guys that are really going to factor in, really factor in their football game that people didn't expect before camp for those two guys. They've been terrific.
What about a guy like a Christian Braswell? Because I feel like for me, he's someone who's grown a lot in my expectations of what I thought I'd see out of him and what we kind of are going into as the season gets closer.
He's a really good athlete. I'm not sure they know what he is yet.
Okay.
He's played in the slot. He's played the nickel. But I think Darnell Savage is going to be their nickel, so he can maybe be the backup nickel. But Jarian Jones can play in there too. He's really fast. Mm-hmm. He may be their fastest defensive back. That's why he was a return guy. He's one of the guys, maybe not the first two, but he's in a backup kick return team. So he's really fast. They like him. But I'll tell you, he's in there. There's a bunch of them in there together now. Jarian Jones, Trey Prince, Monteric Brown, Christian Braswell. They're all cornerbacks trying to make like the last 4 guys. They're keeping 10 defensive backs. So if you go for the 5 starters, then who are the 5 guys behind them? Daniel Thomas is one. He's a safety behind them. Or the other other 4 all cornerbacks. And if they are, then those guys all make the team. So Braswell's a good player. He's another guy they drafted last year and needed that 1 year to kind of digest. And now he has digested, and all of a sudden, like Tank and like Parker, he kind of gets it. But they're not exactly sure. I think he'll be on the team. And I think he can help them in different ways. Maybe as a nickel, but I'm not sure they know what he is yet.
Frank, I just need to know, are you ready for E.J. Perry versus John Paddock tonight?
Well, here's what I'm wondering about. So let's say Trevor gets the first half, right? Mm-hmm. I think Trevor's going to get the first half. And that could mean all the first half, or it could mean until there's 5 minutes left, all right? So Mac Jones plays second. Well, let's say Trevor gets the whole first half. I assume Mac Jones plays the third quarter and E.J. mops up, right? But I don't know. E.J. was brought in. Here's why E.J. was brought in, Lauren. Because if what happened last week happened, they don't want to put Trevor back in the game. E.J. Perry is here to keep Trevor from going back in the game. That's the whole point. If Mac Jones turns an ankle or whatever, the last thing you want is 16 runs back out there. So I think that's the main reason he's here. But you know what? Part of the preseason is E.J. Perry versus John Paddock. That's what we're used to. I will say this. I will say this, and I do believe this. I do believe we are 1 year away from 18-2. I think the 18 regular season games and 2 preseason games is right around the corner. It's probably not next year, but I'll bet you by 2026 we only have 2 of these. And then people will know what they're doing. Right now, I don't think everybody's doing something different now. But I think by the time we get to that point, it'll be you got 2 games. One of those games your starters play. The other game you look at guys who are trying to make the bottom of the roster. So I think we're 2 years away from that. I really do.
6 hours away from kick. We really appreciate you joining us, Frank.
Okay, Lauren Taylor. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
He told me off air that he had a good steak for dinner last night. So I wonder what the food of choice will be tonight.
Oh, they always get good steaks for dinner. And I'm like, man, every time he talks about it and he comes back from one of the away games, they're talking about some delicious steak. And he loves ribeyes and I love ribeyes. So every time it makes me want a steak moving forward.
There you have it. All right, it's a feel-good Friday. And once again, we appreciate Frank joining us to talk Jaguars. Falcons preseason game kicks off at 7 o'clock tonight. It's also a Sunshine Turf Friday. If you want to upgrade your backyard, if you want to upgrade a playground around you, you can visit sunshineturf.info or call 904-892-0580. A putting green would also be great in your backyard. Give Caleb and the team at Sunshine Turf a call today. We will tell you what's making us feel good this Friday and continue the football conversation on this Friday on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
What is the name of this network again?
1010XL.
It's sports.
Jacksonville Sports Radio.
Around the clock. Sports all the time.
Jacksonville's live and local sports radio.
That's never going to work.
1010XL. Jacksonville Sports Superstation.
With Labor Day savings at the Home Depot, you can get up to $1,500 off select appliances from top brands like LG, America's most reliable line of appliances, like the LG Smart Top Load Washer with easy unload angled front, so you can reach every last sock. Right now, get up to $1,500 off select appliances in-store and online with Labor Day savings at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Pricing valid August 22nd through September 11th. U.S. only. See store online for details. America's most reliable line of appliances per independent study.
Lauren Brooks here to tell you about Mayport CNC Fisheries preseason football special. $5 off any 100-count bag or 30-pound box of oysters, all preseason long. Bring football season back like a local with Mayport CNC Fisheries in Atlantic Beach.
Right now, they're on their way to ruin your day. Don't bother calling the police. They can't help. And if you're not prepared, you will suffer. Yes, it's that time of the year. Heat and humidity are attacking North Florida. But help is at hand. Call Mike Merritt's Heating and Air Conditioning. Mike Merritt has a license to chill and lets you maintain your comfort zone at a bargain price. How? Mike Merritt stands ready to help, routine or emergencies. And Mike Merritt knows emergencies can happen at any time. So with Mike, there's never any overtime charges. And Mike's team works without commissions. Merritt will never try to sell you parts you don't need. You can't trust just anyone with a truck. Call Mike Merritt, the company North Florida has trusted for 35 years. Call today. License number CAC 050384.
Mia here. Why Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned? Because when it comes to selection, you don't want to have to compromise at all. You want to get it all, and that's exactly what you will find at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Just listen to this, folks. Over 275 SUVs, over 200 cars, over 100 pickups, over 50 luxury vehicles. That is over 600 cars in one location. Maybe you're buying your kid's first car, or you're on a tight budget and really need some wheels. Arlington Pre-Owned even has 125 vehicles under $18K. And if you're looking for buying confidence, you found it. Because when you buy from Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned, you get 60 days to love it or exchange it. 60 days. Need a little credit help? Arlington has your back with their Credit for Everyone program to help you get financed. Why Arlington? The better question is, why not? Don't wait. Shop Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned today. In person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
This right here is as good as it gets. This is life getting lived without obligations or complications. This is filling your cup and savoring the moment. This is the gift of presence, served to you in a place where there's room for everyone and enough to go around. And the best part, it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
Have you or someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI and all criminal offenses. I've been named the best DUI attorney in the state, and David has been named the best criminal defense lawyer in Jacksonville. In your battle with the justice system, there is only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645.
Looking to elevate your game night experience? Look no further than Best Bet. We're not just a card room, we're your destination for excitement, fun, and big wins. Whether you're a seasoned player or new to the game, we have something for everyone. Join us at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, or St. Augustine for thrilling tournaments, exciting promotions, and a vibrant atmosphere that will take your game night to the next level. Elevate your game night at Best Bet. Visit bestbetjacks.com to learn more. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to carlsondentalgroup.com. That's carlsondentalgroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Sunshine Turf Friday on Helmets and Heels.
Here's Ben and John Lupo, owners of Beards Diamonds.
What's funny, my dad has sold people engagement rings, and now I'm selling their kids engagement rings and anniversary gifts and birthday gifts.
We're blessed with the relationships we've built over the years.
Check out our full inventory at beardsdiamonds.com.
Beards Diamonds in the St. John's Town Center.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Oh, I can't believe tax season is here already. But look at all this info I have to enter.
Phil's small accounting firm is growing in numbers.
Why didn't I take that typing class in high school?
A data entry specialist could really help him in a crunch.
I got blisters on my fingers.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update. Brought to you by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. High school football is back tonight, and one of the best showdowns in the area will be tonight as Bulls takes on Rain. The teams share a combined 14 state championships and graduate major college prospects every year. Rains brings one of the best offensive linemen in the country, 5-star Solomon Thomas, as Bulls looks to their experienced O-line and quarterback Ethan Drum to lead the team. Listen as they battle it out tonight on 10:10 a.m. Kickoffs at 7:30. On the road, Bishop Kenny travels down the coast to take on Matanzas with kickoff at 7 o'clock. You can hear that game live on 92.5 FM. Over in Nashville, the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp fall to the Nashville Sounds in Game 3 of their 6-game series, 2-1. They'll get back at it tonight with Game 4 at 7:35. It's 84 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Wow! I feel good.
It's a feel-good Friday.
We're going to have a good time together.
And that would be good. So good!
Text or tweet something that makes you feel good today.
I hear good things. Really good things.
Cheers to the freaking weekend. Drink to that, yeah. Oh, let the dimmer sun sink in. Drink to that, yeah. Don't let the get you down.
What is making you feel good this Friday?
I have a quadruple whammy for this.
Here we go.
Because obviously, number one, the Jaguars play tonight, and we get to see the starters for a half. I am excited about that. There's a lot of things that I kind of want to take out of this game, in addition to just seeing the starting offense and the starting defense. Hopefully, what seems is going to happen, the starting offensive five all together for the first time this preseason. Super excited for that. And then also college football tomorrow with Florida State, Georgia Tech. Excited for that game. We've talked a ton about it the last few weeks. And when I liked that, what Dalton Wasserman said about it's the appetizer for the college football season. Perfect way to describe it, because people love appetizers. Honestly, sometimes you eat the apps and then you're not hungry for the regular, but
that definitely happens.
It's okay. But
especially if you get like the super large nachos as your appetizer, like you're done.
Oh, yeah. And there's most times where I'm like, why did I do that? I know I was going to be full. And then so also, in addition to that, I finally I'm making my deviled egg flight finally for my friend's housewarming party tomorrow. I'm super excited.
How many deviled eggs are you making total?
I'm making 36 eggs.
Okay.
It's not a huge party, more of like closer friends and family, but I still was like, I want enough to where people can sample each of them if they wanted to. So I had texted you guys the other day of my final ones that I was going to do. So I'm going to do just a regular deviled egg for maybe the people that didn't want to get too funky. But I'm going to do a BLT one, a jalapeno popper one, a bacon, egg, and cheese, a pickled one, and then a buffalo chicken one. So I'm super excited for this. I went and got all of the stuff a couple days ago for what I need. So that's number 3. And then number 4 is my nephew turns 4 on Tuesday, next Tuesday, but his birthday party is Sunday. So I get to go celebrate him and his little chunkiness.
Isn't it so fun when these things happen before actual football season starts? Because like I've always said on this show, on previous iterations of this show, like, once football starts, there is no social life for those of us that work in sports. So like, I love you, but don't invite me to, or you can invite me, but I can't go.
Sorry.
There's one thing that I'm doing this football season that I normally wouldn't, but it's because my cousin, the other cousin that graduated from Florida State, he gets married this November. And so it's the night of, it's in Tallahassee, and it's the night of Florida State Notre Dame, but FSU is at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So I highly doubt we'll be able to watch it because the wedding is at a remote location. And so we'll have to tape that game. But the good news for me personally is, and the reason I can attend, Florida plays Texas that day at noon.
Oh, perfect.
So I'll be able to watch my game and then when we come home
all
Sunday.
the festivities.
I'll be able to watch the Florida State Notre Dame game and then get into NFL football. But I'm one of those people, and you know this, Taylor, like I have to be locked in. I can't be like somewhere out and not be able to watch it, which is going to be that one night, but I'll survive.
At least it works out for the Florida Florida side of it. And that's what I was having a conversation with my roommate last night. She is not the biggest sports fan in general. She will watch football with me and she will cheer. I've told you stories of like ways I try to get her more involved in them. If I give her cool storylines or if I tell her a player that I think she'll think is cute, she'll pay a little more attention. But I found my ways to kind of reel her in a little bit. But this summer, we've been trying to figure out shows to watch, and there's just been like nothing really new on that we've wanted to see. And so the other day, a new show's coming out that she's like, oh, I'm really excited this show starts on like this day. And it's literally the week that football starts. And I was like, well, just to let you know, there's going to be football Monday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. So 4 days of the week, I will not be watching anything else other than that. And she was just looking at me and she was like, 4 days? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, we have to watch it 4 days. I was like, well, you don't have to watch it every single night. Like, I'm not asking you to sit there and watch the hours of football that I do. But there's certain games that, yes, I'm sorry, or you'll have to go to your room. But it's just funny how different worlds are. Like, when it comes to sports fans, like this time of year everything revolves around the football.
Yeah, if you want me to do something, invite me Saturday morning before noon once football starts, or Sunday morning, although that's when usually I'm at church. So no, that's out too. And then football
no
starts.
Sundays
So
for
Sundays are out as well. But yeah, I do think that about 6 weeks into the NFL season is when I do start to be like, okay, I don't have to watch every single second of Monday night and Thursday night. And then obviously you can't watch every second of
also
the games
so
at
late.
1:00 on Sundays. And they are late. And so that's when I feel like we all that work in this business start to go, okay, like I can sleep. I can go to sleep, or I can go out to dinner during a game or something, as long as I'm kind of like watching it. But last year, I'll never forget. So once a month we have a ladies' night group, and it's always Monday nights. That's just what it works out best for all of us. And so it was Monday night last year at Cruisers, and it was the night when it was the first week of football. And so Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles as I was leaving dinner on my way home, which was like 5 minutes. I literally lived like 5 minutes from it. But in the time
that's
that I
about
left,
how long he was on the football field.
Exactly. That's true too. And so it was like, this is why I can't do anything during football games.
Like, look what I missed.
Correct. I missed one of the biggest storylines that happened in all of the 2024 season or 2023 season in the NFL.
Well, and like even to that point, because even last night, so I was watching the Bears Chiefs in the living room, was like, I'm going to go watch the rest in my room. And so I can actually like lay down and start to relax a little bit. Just in the time that I like turned that TV off, went in my room, turned on that TV, players getting carted off. And I'm like, what did I miss? So I'm like instantly on Twitter, who's getting carted off, number one, how bad is it? Do we know? And it was not good. It was like, they had him on one of the like the
stretchers.
Yeah, and the neck had one of the neck things. So definitely when you see that stuff, not good. But just in that, I mean, 2 minutes of time, and that's how quickly you miss something in a football game.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why on Saturdays for like 12 hours, I'm watching football. And Sundays, if it's a Jags home game, I'm in the press box and then come home and watch football. Otherwise, we get to watch as many games as possible. And that's where certainly the streaming services are great because you can watch multiple games at once. I tend to like to have one game on. And if we need the second TV for a game on mute, that's perfectly fine. But I don't like the quad box.
Yeah.
I like to actually focus on one game.
Yeah.
That's just me. My Feel Good Friday, this is the last Friday, at least other than the Gators bye week, that I won't have to wear orange and blue on every Friday.
Oh, yes.
So I enjoy that. It's something I self-imposed many, many, many years ago. But it is also nice to be able to pull from things in the closet that are not orange and blue, which
I have
ends
that same
today.
issue sometimes, honestly.
Yes, because you have orange and blue for the Bears. But yeah, just the fact that we have college football starting. We've talked, of course, a lot about FSU, Georgia Tech. And as I said earlier in the show, I think if FSU gets over 150 yards rushing, they win the game there in Dublin tomorrow. But we are a week away from one of the most heated rivalries in all of the South. And that would be not necessarily SEC football, but the South in general.
Yeah.
Florida-Miami.
Yes.
That game, we've talked about it for months, but now that we're about a week away, 8 days away, I feel like that game is going to be one of the instant classics.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that Miami fans certainly think they're going to win because of all the additions that they have in the transfer portal, including Cam Ward, the quarterback. But I think, as nervous as Florida fans might be, I still think Florida fans think they're going to win because it's in the swamp. And that game could really end up being epic if both teams have very, I would say, smooth games where the coaches don't make those in-game blunders like we've seen. But it could end up being one of those 32-31 final scores.
Yeah, we don't want it to be like the battle of the blunders of which one messed up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Hopefully it's smooth.
But I will say, even somebody like JJ, who we know is a diehard Miami fan, picked Florida to win this game. So I think there are, on both fan bases, I'm sure, true fans that are like a little bit realistic of, okay, we haven't even seen Cam Ward play in Miami. How quickly is this going to fix defensively? They had a lot of issues last year. Hopefully those are fixed, but is it going to happen in week one? I don't know. Are you not going to have some of those errors that they made when it comes to in-game decisions and things like that? And then vice versa for the Gators, the same thing. I'm sure there's a lot of Gators that were like, Graham definitely impressed last year. I don't think a lot of people thought Graham Mertz was going to do anything close to what he did last year at Florida. But, is that going to be a repeat with some of the things, same in-game situational stuff? Has the defense been fixed? Can they tackle in the crucial situations they couldn't last year? So I'm sure each fan base, as much as I think it's more so like, we can win this game. Things have to go almost, you don't want to make a ton of mistakes. And I feel like that's what that game is going to kind of lead to, especially because it's the first week.
It is. And look, both teams, I think, have talented receivers. Florida with a Trey Wilson, who I don't know how he didn't end up on the preseason SEC first team, second team, or third team. Mm-hmm. That seems incredibly stupid to me, but that's neither here nor there. And then Miami with Xavier Restrepo, too, a guy that's been there for a while. How do those guys, how is the passing game utilized through those weapons?
Yeah.
Because those, to me, are the best receivers on each team. And of course, the other team knows that too, right? So are they going to double team them and leave somebody else open? And does Florida have enough other guys like a Chimere DK, the transfer from Wisconsin, who was at the same school where Mertz was? Can they get on the same page? And does the Florida run game look good? And does the Miami defense look better than it did to end the season?
Yeah, and I think that because we've talked a ton, obviously, about Montrell Johnson, but everybody I've talked to, they're confident in the run game behind him that they don't think. And the news we've heard of Montrell, too, is not, like we'll see him sooner rather than later type of situation, which is great news, too, especially for Florida fans. But when you're talking about what you can get from a Trayon Webb, and you were talking about
Jaden Baugh,
and everybody you've talked to when it comes to college football is they're not totally concerned that the run game is lost without Montrell. They think that Trayon Webb's going to be just fine and being able to kind of carry on what Florida was able to do running the ball.
Yeah, certainly. To end the season, Miami lost to Florida State 27-20. Lost to Louisville 38-31, beat BC 45-20, and then lost in the Pinstripe Bowl to Rutgers 31-24. So that's your defense allowing a lot of points there at the end of the season. And I understand a lot of Miami fans would say the moment that they lost that game to Georgia Tech, when Cristobal should have run out the clock, should have run the ball.
Yeah.
That was the dagger to end the season. But look, we've talked about it all week too with Florida State. The way that the season ended with the snub out of the college football playoff. Do they use that as fuel?
Mm-hmm.
Do they even still talk about that? Does Norvell turn the page and say, we've got a lot of new guys here that weren't here when we got that devastating news in December of last year. So let's not even discuss it. Let's focus on the future, and we'll see how how Miami does as well after the way their season ended last year. Georgia Tech, on the opposite side, is coming in, like you said, with a lot of momentum.
Pretty hot, yeah.
All right, Taylor has a tangent when we return. We also have our giveaway from Chick-fil-A. You are listening to 1010X on 92.5 FM. Helmets and Heels on a Sunshine Turf Friday on 1010X on 92.5 FM.
This hour of Helmets and Heels is brought to you by First Coast Honda dealers. 1010XL takes you behind the microphone.
If anything, I'm the funny one.
Dude, let's not start with this again, okay?
You're the one who just started it.
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
I just wish that you could say that I'm as funny as you are.
They are the drill.
Yeah, well, I wish I could say that too.
Mornings on 1010XL.
Firehouse Subs, Hook and Ladder jingle, take one.
Hook and ladder, when it's hot, it just tastes better. Warm that smoky turkey, that thin sliced honey.
Guys, this is a 30-second ad. You gotta sing faster.
Hook and ladder, when it's hot, it just tastes better. Melty cheese and toast spread, mustard, mayo, purple spread, lettuce, green, and onion.
The sandwich is too big for the song. It's too big.
The Hook and Ladder, available only at participating Firehouse Subs restaurants.
Mia O'Brien here for my friends at Duck Duck Rooter. If water flows through it, the team at Duck Duck can install it or repair it. From septic tank pump outs, drain field installations, clogged drains, water heaters to repipes, they do it all. And they do it well. But don't just take my word for it. Check out the reviews on Google and see what customers just like you are saying about their experience with Duck Duck Rooter. Duck Duck Rooter is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit duckduckrooter.com to schedule service today.
At Honda, we appreciate all the comparisons to other vehicles. And no matter how many times they compare their vehicles to a Honda, only a Honda is a Honda. Remember, value, quality, safety, there is no substitute. Visit your local Honda dealer now and experience the difference.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
It's a Sunshine Turf Friday on Helmets and Heels.
When the sun goes down, you might think a golf course shuts down, but not at the Golf Club of Southampton. Join the gang every Thursday night for trivia with Brooke and Jason, and everybody's favorite night, Friday night on the patio, featuring local musicians, food, and drink. It's all at the Golf Club of Southampton. Great golf. You've come to expect that. But don't forget, when night falls, the fun doesn't stop. Trivia every Thursday night and Southampton's live music patio session Fridays. Call 287-PLAY to make a tee time and the good time.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about letting things roll off of your back. So often we can make big deals out of things that are not really big deals. We can allow them to steal the joy of our day. But let me remind you that don't allow anyone or anything to steal the joy of today. Go out today not letting little things steal the big things that God has in store for you.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
Share your voice anytime on the 1010XL text line.
Are you serious? Installed by Lifetime Flooring.
I gotta say, you're totally blowing my mind right now.
If you can't call or email, text us. 641-1010.
When all you have is a hammer, everything is a nail. I'm Dr. George Bari, and like me, I know you have been bombarded with PRP and stem cell treatments from companies that promise the world and charge prices to match. Or the surgeon that convinced you the only way to treat your injuries through surgery. At Bari Orthopedics, we offer the best PRP treatment on the market with prices that won't cost you an arm and a leg. We also have the expertise to treat your injury surgically, if that is what it entails. We can discuss all surgical and non-surgical options with you and make sure you get the best treatment available. Come see me, Dr. George Bari at Bari Orthopedics.
Prosser here. Hey, pick a news source. But the reports are home prices are expected to decline in 2025, even after the election. So you need to maximize your home sales price now before this downturn, and you can do it with the agents proven to sell for top dollar, Chad and Sandy Newman. Hey, perhaps you're worried about selling for less money with a lowball out-of-state instant offer, or maybe you want maximum equity from your home, but you're not sure how. That's why you turn to Chad and Sandy, who have the answers. No required costly repairs. Chad and Sandy are the local real estate experts I trust and recommend for the sale of your home. Tony and Maggie at Jack's Golf and Country Club said, we recently had a job transfer and we needed to sell fast. With homes in our area struggling to sell inside 100 days, we didn't know what to do. Our worries were solved when we hired Chad and Sandy. Our home sold in 3 days for one of the highest prices ever in our neighborhood at over $1 million. Call the local experts we trust, 904-414-6200 or ChadAndDSandy.com.
This is Greg Huntington, a.k.a. The Mangler. I'm on the winning team at Waste Management. If your business needs sustainable environmental services for waste removal and recycling collection, then you can count on the industry leader of WM to deliver results. Go to WM.com.
Calling all fans of Duval to downtown Las Vegas during the game against the Silver and Black. This is Lauren Brooks from Helmets and Heels. Join us at Circa Resort and Casino this December for the Jacksonville Game Day Getaway featuring an incredible all-in package. Get a 3-night stay at Circa, $200 food and beverage credit, plus a daybed at Stadium Swim. With 6 temperature-controlled pools and a massive screen, it's the world's largest hot tub party. The all-in package is only available until August 30th, so act now. To book and to join the Heels in Vegas, visit circalasvegas.com today.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
This song is certainly very popular, whether it was out at Jaguars training camp practices or just on country radio. Post Malone, Morgan Wallen. Taylor Dahl is here. RJ Saunders is here. I'm Lauren Brooks. Mia O'Brien has the day off. She'll be back on Monday. It is a Sunshine Turf Friday and a feel-good Friday. I'm sure lots of the Knowles fans out there are feeling good about having football tomorrow, and everybody else excited that it comes up next Saturday. All right, Taylor Dahl, take us away with your tangent.
Now, Taylor's Tangent, served up by Chick-fil-A on 1010XL.
We are going to take a look at the defensive predictions, kind of how a defense will perform in 2024. This is from The Ringer, and it's based off of a lot of things. They factor in any offseason moves. They factor in the quarterbacks that they're going to face throughout the season. They do all of the numbers of how many turnovers did they have last season? Is that turnover number realistic to repeat? The sack number, is that sack number? So it's a lot of statistical things that go into them predicting what a defense could look like. Losses, obviously, is a big thing of players that they have lost. But there's a few that I want to point out. I'm going to go through the AFC South where they stand, a couple opponents that the Jags will face. But I'm going to start with just number one because I think that this is something we talked about the other day about if this is a realistic expectation to see repeat, and it's the New York Jets they have as number one. On this, they said they've played at a high level for 2 straight seasons, and I don't see that changing. The Jets have one of the best corner trios in the NFL led by Sauce Gardner. They have one of the best linebacker duos in the NFL and C.J. Mosley and Quincy Williams, and they have one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL in Quinnen Williams. Talent at all 3 levels and scheme continuity from the previous 2 seasons should lead to great results once again. So that's the number one when they come to that. I think most people do have the Jets in their top 3 at least when it comes to defensive rankings.
Quincy Williams, who used to be a Jaguar.
Well, yes, by the way. So number 2, though, is I want to talk about this one just because this is a Week 2 Jaguars opponent, and it's the Cleveland Browns they have at number 2. I've been talking about this a ton. The Browns defense was just insane last year, and obviously they are predicting that it's not going to look much different as they are number 2 in this ranking, and it says a lot of new school defensive coordinators prioritize stopping explosive plays above all else, but the Browns defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz, is old school. Attack gaps, hit the quarterback, and play man coverage. Shout out to my fellow olds who appreciate this throwback style of play. The Browns had an average defense before Schwartz's arrival, finishing 16th in 2022, but under Schwartz last season, it jumped all the way up to second. The Browns have an excellent cornerback trio and Denzel Ward, Martin Emerson, and Greg Newsome II. And 2023 NFL Defensive Player of the Year and Myles Garrett headlines the group defensive linemen that can wreck games. So one common denominator, Lauren, that I've noticed already is the trio of corners leading both of these teams. And that just kind of shows how important it is and the conversation leading to the Jaguars and what that corner room can look like and the expectations with, obviously, we've talked about opposite Tyson Campbell, but also that nickel corner and what Ryan Nielsen does with the kind of rotation of those players. So that
look who won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, by the way.
And the team who finished second in the 49ers. So the Chiefs with probably the best duo of corners last season.
Yep.
And the 49ers have really good ones too.
Yes. So that's a couple things that popped out immediately. I'm going to scroll down. I'll just read the other ones as we go through it, but there's another one I want to hit. So number 3, they have the Baltimore Ravens. 4, the Dallas Cowboys. 5, the Seattle Seahawks. 6, Pittsburgh Steelers. 7, the Houston Texans. This defense has undergone massive turnover from the group that finished 16th in efficiency last year. The Texans let edge defender Jonathan Grenard, defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins, and linebacker Blake Cashman, among others, walk in free agency. But they were able to make big splash by signing edge rusher Danielle Hunter, who had 16.5 sacks for Minnesota last season, along with defensive lineman Danico Autry and linebacker Aziz Al-Shaair. The Texans now have an excellent edge duo in Hunter and 2023 first-rounder Will Anderson, cornerback Derek Stingley, the team's first-round pick in 2022, played in 20 games in his first 2 seasons, but when he's on the field, he's a difference maker. And so this one obviously is something we have to focus on. We already talk a ton about the Houston Texans offense and all of the pieces they have there. And if CJ Stroud continues to grow like a lot of people think he is, now you also have to worry about their defense, who is ranked, what did I say? Is it 7th? 7th here on this list.
And they're a formidable opponent really on both sides of the ball, but especially, yes, because D'Amico Ryans is the head coach. And so he is a guy that understands what it takes because he played the sport and he also is a really good defensive mind. So he understands what it takes on that side of the ball. That's why you saw them add those key pieces. I think the AFC South overall is going to be a fascinating case study because as we've discussed for years now, the Jaguars in 2022 were the talk of the town and everyone expected them in 2023 to be a playoff team. But they had the first place schedule after winning the division in 2022. And then, of course, the wheels fell off defensively. The Texans, same exact kind of thing. All of a sudden, now they're a playoff team, and people are expecting them to be potentially a Super Bowl contender, or at least, give the Chiefs a run in the AFC in general. And now they have the first place schedule.
Yeah.
So how do they respond? And also, when you have the target on your back, the Jaguars didn't respond as well with that last season. And the Texans now certainly are going to be undergoing that. Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, though, are
scary,
very scary. And could they be as good as Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker? I think that's a big question.
Yeah, and I think that when they know that, and that's why I think Houston, after last year, looked at the Jags and saw what Trayvon and Josh Hines-Allen were able to do and said, we have to match that or we're not going to be able to beat them. And so they did. And it will be interesting to kind of see that battle throughout the season. But so number 8 is they have the Bears. Number 9, San Francisco 49ers. Number 10, the Detroit Lions. Number 11, Kansas City. Number 12, the Vikings. Number 13, the Jacksonville Jaguars. It would probably surprise a lot of people to find out that the Jags had the 10th ranked defense in the NFL last season. It might even surprise head coach Doug Peterson because he fired coordinator Mike Caldwell and replaced him with Ryan Nielsen, who directed the Falcons defense in 2023. The Jags have had some talent up front. They brought back edge rusher Josh Hines-Allen after his 17.5 season. Trayvon Walker, the number 1 pick in 2022, had arguably the quietest 10-sack season in NFL history. And Jacksonville added versatile defensive lineman Eric Armstead from San Francisco. General manager Trent Baalke has dumped a lot of resources into the front 7, and that group will have to carry the Jaguars because they have serious questions at corner. Overall, I think there's enough for slightly above average defense.
Yeah, I don't think there's serious questions at corner. I think there were for people going into probably the draft and then training camp. But if you've watched those practices and or if you've watched the preseason games and if you've just gotten a vibe from Ryan Nielsen and some guys that are on this defense, I think they expect the secondary to be really, really good.
Yeah, I think that they'll need to see that in games for people to believe it. And I also think part of it is the Tyson Campbell overall season, which I did my tangent on yesterday. His season overall, he was one of the worst corners if you look at it as season whole. But what you have to take out is that he was injured. Because when you take out that injury, that the first 1 through 6, I said he was a top 12 corner. So I think if you're looking at it as a whole, from the outside, people are saying you had one of the worst corners in Tyson Campbell. You get rid of Darius, who was one of the better corners in the league last year. You have Ronald Darby, who, yes, it has been really good, but also hasn't been able to stay healthy. So I do understand from an outside perspective that maybe there are some questions, especially when we just mentioned, when you look at those top 4 teams, all 3 of their corners are all-stars and big names.
I would be surprised if we're not talking about the job that Ryan Nielsen has done and the sticky man coverage that this secondary is going to provide, basically because of his scheme.
Yeah.
And that's why Darius Williams isn't here anymore, because he's better at zone than he is at man. And adding Jarian Jones, adding Darnell Savage, adding Ronald Darby all to the mix, adding Trey Prince. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Trey Prince at some point in time in the season due to attrition. Not that you hope that happens, but because it typically happens in an NFL season, if we see him play outside opposite Tyson. Yeah. I think that they poured, like the Ringer said, they poured a lot of resources there because they realized that with the scheme change, they needed a
lot of bodies.
Yeah, they needed more guys too that can not just run with these speedy wide receivers, but also can be a little bit more physical. That was obviously the knock overall of this team, whether it be the offensive line, defensive line, but certainly the secondary too. Andre Sisco, if he can have the type of season that people believe he can, like he had in Syracuse, maybe not, 5 interceptions this season, but somewhere in that ballpark of like 2, 3, 4, somewhere in there. And Antonio Johnson is as good as people think, right? So I think the secondary is going to be a lot better than maybe some people think from the outside looking in.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that we've watched it closer here of how things have kind of formed out throughout camp and throughout the preseason. But I do get from, like I said, that outside perspective of saying, if you're just talking about strictly names and what they looked like last year and transferring that to this year, maybe it's not as high as, but they, like I said, they obviously still have them at 13th. So they still think that this defense is going to be pretty good, a top half defense. Now, if those corners all end up being what a lot of us hope and some see that they could be, then it will obviously change quickly. I'll just go through some of the others real quick. Philly at 14, Raiders at 15, the Giants at 16, Bills at 17, Bucks at 18, Patriots at 19, Packers at 20, the Bengals at 21, Saints at 22, the Tennessee Titans all the way down at 23. And that just said on this, they made a big splash this offseason acquiring L'Jarius Sneed from the Chiefs. The trade was just one part of a significant overhaul that included losing defensive coordinator Shane Bowen and replacing him with Denard Wilson. Wilson spent last season with the Ravens and the previous 2 with the Eagles. He has never before been a defensive coordinator or play caller. So I think that's going to factor into a lot when you don't have a defensive play caller experience and you're taking over kind of a completely overhauled. That makes sense. And then we're going to go the Chargers, 25, Chargers, Broncos, and then the Colts, the final AFC South team at 27. There aren't a lot of surprises with the Gus Bradley coach defense. They had the 3rd lowest blitz rate in the NFL last season, and they played zone at the highest rate. That formula got Indianapolis the 20th ranked defense last season. Bradley's preferred play style is fine if you're talented, but the talent just there is just mediocre.
Interesting, yeah, because I think a lot of people think Gus Bradley is a really good defensive coordinator, but as we know, it's the Jimmies and Joes, not always the X's and O's. By the way, Sisco 2 seasons ago had 3 interceptions. Last season had 4. So maybe I was doing him a disservice when I said he doesn't necessarily have to get 5. He can get 3 or 4. Well, he's had 3 and then he's had 4. Yeah. So I would like actually more like what he's had in his career, which is 7 to this point in the NFL. All right, we've got lunch on the ladies right now.
We do. Lunch on the ladies. Lunch for 2 to Chick-fil-A.
Lunch for 4.
Oh, we have lunch for 4 today.
That's right.
We have a whole family. You can take the whole family to Chick-fil-A today. So lunch on us for 4 to Chick-fil-A. Give us a call at 641-1010. Let's say caller number 4.
I like it. Caller number 4, 641-1010. We will put a bow on the show when we return. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on a Sunshine Turf Friday. You can find them on 1010XL's Instagram or sunshineturf.info. We'll be back on 1010XL on 2.5 FM.
helmets and heels.
This hour is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers.
Jennifer, Luxury has a new address in Jacksonville.
Oh, do tell, John.
Randy Marion Cadillac on Southside Boulevard. We've got over 40 Cadillac Lyrics in stock.
40? That's incredible. Any color you want?
You bet. Pick your color and drive away today. Plus, we're giving away a free home charger with every Lyric.
Fantastic. Anything else?
How about a car you'll never have to change the oil on?
No oil changes ever? Now that's luxury.
Randy Marion Cadillac, where Jacksonville meets luxury.
Visit us today on Southside Boulevard and tell them Jennifer sent ya.
The hottest trend in casual dining has expanded in Jacksonville with its 5th location off 103rd. The Flame Broiler serves up protein-packed rice bowls. It's fast, healthy, and affordable. Order online at flamebroilerusa.com or visit any of our 5 locations. Flame Broiler, simply healthy.
Former Jaguars corner and first-year head football coach at Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows, K-12, Aaron Beasley here. Are you looking for an A-rated K-12 school prioritizing academics, arts, and athletics? Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows offers a rigorous curriculum to develop strong minds with an additional focus on growing good hearts. DCSB has been an A school for 8 years, and our tuition is free. Now enrolling. Apply at baymeadowscharter.org.
This right here is as good as it gets. This is life getting lived without obligations or complications. This is filling your cup and savoring the moment. This is the gift of presence, served to you in a place where there's room for everyone and enough to go around. And the best part, it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
Imagine stepping out of your cozy cabin on a crisp fall morning, coffee in hand, a stunning view from your private porch greets you. You spend the day relaxing at the tiki bar or taking a dip in the year-round pool while catching the big game on TV. Welcome to Island Oaks RV Resort, just past McClenny off exit 333. Book your cabin that sleeps 4 to 6 people. A close, affordable getaway with activities for the whole family. Make memories that last at Island Oaks RV Resort, islandoaksrvresort.com.
Mia here. Are you ready for the ultimate college football season? Using MyBookie Sportsbook and casino platform, you can bet on every game and win anytime, anywhere, straight from your mobile device. No app needed, folks. Just head on over to mybookie.ag, click the link at the top, sign up, and you're ready to rock. Did you know that the average college football game runs about 180 plays? Literally every catch, every sack, and every touchdown is another way to hit pay dirt. Using MyBookie when you bet with MyBookie, you're not just watching the games, you're investing in every moment of the action. I'll say it from experience, a few bucks on the line can turn any regular season game into one of the most exciting of the year. Don't forget to use promo code 1010XL when signing up in order to claim up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. And don't forget that promo code 1010XL.
With Labor Day savings at the Home Depot, you can get up to $1,500 off select appliances from top brands like LG, America's most reliable line of appliances, like the LG Smart Top Load Washer with easy unload angled front, so you can reach every last sock. Right now, get up to $1,500 off select appliances in-store and online with Labor Day savings at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Pricing valid August 22nd through September 11th. U.S. only. See store online for details. America's most reliable line of appliances per independent study.
It's a Sunshine Turf Friday. The highest quality artificial turf at affordable prices. Visit sunshineturf.info today.
The Sunshine State says it all in the nickname. That summer sun in Florida can take its toll on an air conditioning unit and send your electric bill through the roof. Florida Home AC can help you handle the heat with a brand new AC unit with low monthly payments and over $3,000 in federal tax credits on select systems. So this summer, don't sweat it out. Cool off with Florida Home AC, the official AC company of the Jaguars. Call them today, 777-4300, and check out their tremendous savings on a brand new AC system.
College football is coming. Celebrating another season of college football.
This should be fun to watch.
1010XL's college kickoff coverage is brought to you by Jenkins Genesis of Northeast Florida and Island Oaks RV Park.
Let's do it.
On 1010XL.
Come on.
This is Hayes Carline for SkyLife Elite. Are you tired of canceled flights, unruly passengers, and layovers? Call my friends at SkyLife Elite. Consider using private charter flights for your next adventure. Yes, you can afford it. Make your own schedule. Fly direct. Drive your car to Craig Airport and get directly on the plane. SkyLife Elite can make that happen. Call 490-9332. Go to flyskylife.com and find them on social media. Fly SkyLife Elite, North Florida's premier private air charter.
Come to Monahan Jewelers store-wide 50 to 60% off sale going on now for a very limited time. Everything on display is 50 to 60% off at Monahan Jewelers. We've bought so much brand new jewelry, we need to make room for it. Diamond jewelry, engagement semi-mounts, colored gemstones, even gold chains. Right now, everything on display at Monahan Jewelers is 50 to 60% off. Jewelry's going quick, so come to Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
What makes a Honda certified pre-owned vehicle so special? 182-point inspection, 24/7 roadside assistance, first-year free oil changes, and a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty for carefree driving backed by American Honda. Visit your local Honda dealer today.
This is Dr. Steve Crenshaw, Assistant Team Physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
It's game day for the Jags up in Atlanta as they ready themselves for their last preseason game. Jaguars wide receiver Gabe Davis spoke on what he's looking to accomplish in tonight's game.
Just execute what's being called. We all know the playbook. They gave us enough time to really study. We've been having our walkthroughs, going through practice, running the same thing over and over again. So just want to look sharp out there. No MAs. Go out there, play some good, clean football, and be able to make some plays as we head out to there on Friday.
Offensive tackle Anton Harrison shared his thoughts on the offensive line starters playing together tonight.
It's good to be out there in the game against another team. Well, all 5 of us, I feel like we got a lot of work in camp. We was good. We had some guys like me who was down and up, but it's going to feel good, all 5 of us going out there and playing together.
Sound courtesy of Jaguars.com. I'm Molly McDonald with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars Update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
I'll go with something we were talking about early in the show, Lauren, and that is the Florida State Georgia Tech Week 0 this weekend. And I think that we have had the conversation a lot of, is Florida State at that level now where you feel like they can lose all of this talent to the NFL and be able to just keep functioning like we see Alabama's and Georgia's and Michigan's and Ohio State's do. And I think this, I'm not saying this Georgia Tech is telling us yes or no, but I do think how we come out and see them play pretty quickly, what Mike Norvell is able to put out on the field with having to kind of revamp this offense and 5 new pieces coming out, including a new quarterback, how quickly this offense can start to flow, even if it is relying on the run game a little bit early. But between that and also replacing a guy like Jared Verse and some of the secondary pieces they lost, I think this is a telltale of where Mike Norvell and Florida State are as an organization as a whole.
It's going to be fun to see how many Florida State fans are there, how many Georgia Tech fans are there. I heard Irish Show Fell on with the drill in primetime, and he said that he expects around 20 to 25,000 of the Noles there. So what type of environment is it? Are the other seats filled by people who are just live in Dublin and are just football fans? Like when we see the Jaguars play in London and other teams play in the NFL in London and overseas in general, like are they cheering at the right times? Like, I'm fascinated by all of that. And, it kicks off tomorrow at noon.
They've obviously, had, and this is just how we talk about the NFL growing their brand over there. Yeah. College football has been doing it too. You know, Notre Dame played in Ireland a couple seasons, 2-3
last
seasons.
Year.
Was it last year?
Yeah.
Okay,
Notre Dame beat Navy to a pulp last year.
Yes. And so it is fun to, granted, that adds something because it's a Catholic school, so that already there was a billion Notre Dame fans at that one. So It will be interesting to see that difference because you don't have the Notre Dame presence there, but it's still college football. So to your point, how interested and excited and the cheering happening at the right moments and all of that will be kind of fun to see.
It certainly will. There was a game in Ireland 2 seasons ago, and I don't remember who that one was, but I want to say it was a close game. So that part, the environment will be just a lot of fun to watch. I'll cool down with something that Frank said, and that is he does expect the starters to play a half. And I the reason I know that Doug said that earlier in the week, but I wondered if that would change because of the fact that the Falcons, Raheem Morris decided not to play their starters. I wondered if he would say, okay, never mind. Well, if I see Trevor have a good series or two, I'm not going to continue to play him against backups. But if Frank says he thinks that Trevor is going to go for pretty much the most of the first half, then that gets, I think, fans a lot more excited because, yes, you're not going to be able to evaluate the same as if it was the Falcons starters. And that would have been fun, too, because obviously Ryan Nielsen was the defensive coordinator there last year in Atlanta. Now he's here. But moreover, you will just get to see how the offense flows and get to see if the Jaguars can run the football. Everyone's eyes are going to be on that interior of the offensive line. And assuming that they are going to have all 5 of the starters that will play week 1 against the Dolphins tonight. And so I think also what Brian Thomas Jr. can do. We haven't really seen the starting receivers, and Kirk won't go tonight, but what does Gabe Davis look like? Does Evan Ingram play? I'm assuming that all of those guys do that are healthy. So what does the offense look like? And again, albeit against backups, and that's why I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'm annoyed with Raheem Morris and what the Falcons have decided to do.
Yeah, and I think to your point, I'll still be kind of fascinated to see if Doug pushes it to half. If, let's say, the Jags come out and have back-to-back quick scoring drives. Trevor and starting offense drive down, and I used boop, boop, boop when I was talking to Mike earlier, and somebody on Twitter said, I want to boop, boop, boop too, just meaning kind of like you're hitting all the receivers. You don't need any.
That could be a t-shirt.
The boop, boop, boop offense.
Yeah.
But I don't want any help from a flag. I don't want you to have to, some weird, miraculous 3rd and 20 happen, and then you get the first down. Those are fun, but I want to see a functional offense, and I want to see an offense that is able, you feel like is clicking on all cylinders, an offense that you feel like doesn't have certain weird moments that I felt like even had early in the regular season last year, where you just didn't feel like everybody was on the same page at all times. We know some of that ended up having to do with Calvin Ridley, as we learned throughout the season. But I want to see that. And so I wonder if back-to-back drives, that type of things happen, and immediately the Jags are up 14-0, if he pushes it all the way to half.
Yeah, I also want to watch some of the young guys in general, the rookies, and see what they bring to the table, whether it is Tank Bigsby, does he continue to look really good in running the football? Mason Smith in the interior of that defensive line, does he get a good push? Yep. And again, every time I say this, it's like, yes, I understand they're not going to be going against starters, but still, they're going up against guys.
If they're not winning against the backups, then they're definitely not going to be winning against the starters.
And these are all still NFL starter or NFL guys on the roster. Yeah, so that'll be fun to watch. And also, to me, one thing that'll be fascinating is Roy Robertson-Harris. He's played deep into the first 2 preseason games. Ryan Nielsen spoke to that earlier this week that said, and Doug did as well, Doug Peterson, that yes, he had the injury throughout the offseason, and so they just want to get him a little bit more game action. But are they just saying that to us, but actually trying to send him a message? That I don't know.
Yeah, and it is interesting. I've had Bears friends that work with me texting me like, are they not happy with Roy Robertson-Harris? Are they not going to are they not keeping him? Because
they're definitely keeping
we'll take him back. We'll take him back.
I'm sure you would, but no, they're keeping him financially.
Like
it's
Roy
way better to keep him.
Robertson-Harrison would not make it through any sort of through a day, I don't think, if he was released at all. But I did hear Jeff Lageman talking yesterday about how interesting that the defensive tackle room is in general, because obviously with Devon Hamilton and Eric Armstead, and then you're talking about a Jeremiah Ledbetter, but you have 2 rookies. You're not going to not keep the rookies. You know, Jordan Jefferson, Mason Smith are going to be on this team. That's just what it's going to be.
Yeah, unless they decided that Jordan would be more on the IR part of things.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's Tyler Lacey as well.
Yes, and so that's what he was like. They do have some of the decisions to make when it comes to the defensive tackle that may be a little more difficult than they were in previous years because of some of those names, and then obviously Roy Robertson-Harris too. So that side of it is fascinating, and this is what these games are for. Like Frank said, the fun part is when your starters are out there and you're cheering for the guys that you're going to be cheering for all season. But the important part for Doug and crew are the second half, when you're determining this depth chart and the final pieces that you're keeping. The cuts are Tuesday, so you don't have much time to figure out the rest of this.
Yeah, and it would have been more fun if it had been Trevor Lawrence and Kirk Cousins, or Trevor even and Michael Penix Jr. on the other side. But Mac Jones has been a guy that's been a lot of fun to watch. And I know you didn't necessarily love that trade when the Jaguars made that a few months ago, but now having seen him in both practice and the first 2 preseason games, do you like the fact that he's backing Trevor up?
I mean, I guess. I think I'm going to be extra critical of Mac because he just made me not like him so much last season. And I said this a month ago, it's going to take a bit for him to like win me back. There's been moments where I was like, okay, like that was actually a pretty good throw. I'm impressed. But I also saw that in New England, and then you would see nothing, and he got benched by multiple bad quarterbacks during that time. So I think I would need to see a little more consistency from Mac for me to completely flip how I felt about it. But I completely get them wanting to have Mac Jones backing up Trevor, not only to their playing styles being a little more similar, especially to CJ Beathard, but also the energy that he has brought to the Jags. It does feel like he kind of feels like it's that refreshed, which we've seen other players go through that, where they are one way on a team and then they get to that new team and it feels like a completely different player when it comes to on and off the field. And sometimes they need that. And for Mac, it happens to be back home, which I'm sure also helps too.
Yes.
So there
Mama's cooking.
Yes, yes. So I do completely get the move. It's not one of the, I'm not arguing it whatsoever, but am I 100% happy with it? No.
I think he's been a great addition, like you said, personality-wise, but also I think he's a pretty talented quarterback. And the fact that we've already seen CJ Beathard go down with that groin injury, you needed certainly another quarterback in that room who's capable. But also, if Trevor Lawrence were to suffer an injury this year, I think that the Jaguars staff would feel more comfortable having Mac Jones go in and start a game, because he's started multiple games in the past and certainly has won some in New England as well, especially his rookie season. And so I think they would feel more comfortable having Trevor sit a game now if Mac Jones is there versus CJ Beathard. I want to remind people of the schedule for today, a little bit different than normal. XL Primetime is still after us, but then it will be the Publix kickoff show at 4 o'clock, followed by Jaguars Network pregame at 6 o'clock. And then, of course, the game kicks off at 7. You'll hear Frank Frangie, Tony Vaselli, and Jeff Loggeman on the call. And then the Jaguars postgame scoreboard show from 10 to midnight. Over on our 10:10 a.m. stream, you'll hear Bulls kick off against Reigns. That's a massive game tonight in high school football. That one begins at 7:30. And then on the 92.5 FM stream, you will hear Bishop Kenny at Matanzas. That one kicks off at 7 o'clock. Of course, like I said, the high school games will be on the stream only because we will have the Jaguars preseason game against the Falcons here. A few other games I wanted to run through as far as high school football, Taylor. You've got Baldwin at Inglewood. That one kicks off at 6:30. Creekside at Mandarin, 6:30 also. Mustangs. That's right. Fleming Island at Clay. These are all 7 o'clocks. Ponte Vedra at Nice. Trinity Christian at Ed White, that one's 6:30, and Ribault at Fletcher, also a 6:30. So what's fascinating to me is that Trinity Christian does not play tonight, but they'll play Reigns next week.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, they don't actually have a game tonight. I'm pretty sure their first game is against Reigns. It's either against Reigns or Bulls, and so they all kind of play each other in a weird schedule.
I do want to say too, because this week, obviously, both high school games, Bulls and Bishop Kenny, are on the AM stream. But just a reminder for the future, because I always get a lot of calls and emails about it. The Jaguars, we are not allowed to stream any NFL content. So once the Jaguars programming starts on game day, you will not be able to stream it. You can hear it on the radio, on terrestrial radio. You will not be able to listen on your phone, on your computer, on Alexa, any of those things. I just want to remind people, because it does get confusing. It's not us, though. It's just to let everybody
It's an
know.
NFL rule. By the way, I was wrong. Trinity Christian plays at White tonight. Did I already say that? I feel like I already told people that. Yeah, I said that in my rundown. Okay. So Trinity Christian does play, and then they play Bulls next week. So if I had just paid attention to the
your own words.
to my own schedule that I had in front of me. Fun, so it's going to be, like we've talked about all day long, it's going to be so much fun tomorrow, noon kickoff, and even watching game day ahead of that, College Game Day, to see, do the FSU fans protest College Game Day in Dublin? Do they have some salacious signs?
I think we're going to see some great signs. I think it's going. I know how petty I can be in certain situations, and if this was me, if I was a Florida State fan, I would have so many signs that I'd be ready to bring to College Game Day, and I think that Florida State fans would be full on. They're more so, we'll show you, and we'll come right back at you. And I think that's one of the best parts about College Game Day are those funny little moments and the way people dress and the signs that happen in the back, and that Florida State's not going to lose their opportunity to get that.
No, I agree with you. There will be some signs, but I also wonder if some fans are just going to be like, I'll have way more fun
at my
tailgating or going to the pubs in Dublin. Certainly, that game kicks off 5 p.m. Dublin time, Ireland time. So noon here, 5 hours later will be that. So
that's perfect.
You have a good long day of tailgating ahead of you, and we talked about this with Dalton Wasserman of PFF. Who's the better quarterback? Is it DJ Uiagalelei? Is it Haynes King?
And he said very close.
Very close. In his rankings, DJ was 17th and Haynes King was 25th. I had looked through those. But it all matters tomorrow as to which the better quarterback is. Speaking of college football, let's say hello to Matt Hayes.
Now, the 2-minute drill, brought to you by Injury Care Centers. Discover BioTarget Regenerative Therapy, a safer, drug-free solution for lasting pain relief. Visit GoBioTarget.com.
Matt, would you agree with that? We had Dalton Wasserman.
I heard you coming in. No.
Yes.
Not
you
even
would
close.
Like,
no.
they are not close as quarterbacks,
Haynes
you would
King's
say?
a much better quarterback.
Better. Oh.
If Haynes King was playing at Florida State right now, you'd be talking about Florida State a legit, finishing in the semifinals of the playoff right now.
Same with Cam Ward, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
If Cam Ward is in Tallahassee versus Miami. Yeah. Yeah, look, I told Taylor.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. I love the fire.
I told Taylor the stat earlier that the only other quarterback who had these numbers was Jaden Daniels, the Heisman Trophy winner. At least 2,800 passing yards, 25 touchdown passes, 700 rushing yards, and 10 rushing touchdowns last season. Those are the only two guys that had it, Haynes and JD.
I think there's a couple things with Haynes King. It's the turnovers that people look at, but I think more than anything, it's Georgia Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia Tech is just an average team, and I think if you, and this is the unfortunate thing with college football, if you're on an average team, you're not highlighted. What you do is not highlighted, and it's unfortunate, but that's kind of the way you are, unless it's just something ridiculous, the numbers. And his numbers weren't ridiculous, but they were very impressive. And again, this is a guy who's been injured a couple years, who got beaten out, who won the job, got beaten out again at Texas A&M, finally found a home at Georgia Tech, got beaten out at Georgia Tech initially, worked his way back, and he really had a strong, probably last 8 games of the season last year where he really became the guy that Jimbo Fisher thought he recruited 5 years ago.
It'll be fun to see if Mike Elko, now the head coach at Texas A&M, wishes that he still had Haynes King over Connor Wegman. A lot of people are high on Wegman as well, but it will be fun to kind of watch both of those seasons.
Yeah, I mean, Wegman is, I like Haynes King a lot. Wegman's elite. Wegman is an elite thrower type, NFL type quarterback. I think it's going to be fun to watch to see if Colin Klein, the OC at Texas A&M, can develop him into that type of, all right, this guy's going to throw it for 304 touchdowns, and there's nothing you can do about it. One of those elite type throwers, because I think talent-wise, that's where he is.
If you're correct, then Mike Elko is going to have a really good first season in
yes.
College Station, Texas.
I mean, absolutely, yeah. I mean, it could be one of those, like his first season at Duke, where you're like, whoa. But, you know, if he has that type of quarterback there, which Riley Leonard, his first year, was very good, was still young and still raw, much like Connor Wegman. But Connor Wegman, as far as a thrower, I think is a different level from Riley Leonard, who I love, by the way. Love Riley Leonard. One of my favorite players.
And certainly Taylor hopes he has a great season since she's a Notre Dame fan. Let me guess that, Matt, tonight, 2 of the guys you'll be watching closely, Ezra Cleveland and Brandon Sheriff, since you're a guard guy.
At this point, anything else I say right now is just redundant. Honestly, it's redundant. Seriously, we all know what's going on. It's so weird how we all know it, but somehow they didn't know it. It's like last year with the edge rushers. We all knew it, but they didn't know it. And they got really lucky that Trayvon Walker developed and became a 10-sack guy, and Josh Allen realized, all right,
I've got to do
you're
it
not going
now.
to pay me? I'm going to show you why you need to pay me. So, and then he got 27.5 from those 2 guys. And
added a hyphen with Hines.
Yes.
And nothing else off the edge. So it's strange. It's just very strange. I say this all the time. I understand the philosophical decision of we want to put players around Trevor. That's why we got Brian Thomas Jr. I get that. But at the end of the day, if you can't protect 16, you're going to have problems. And I think that's going to be a problem.
All right, what's coming up?
It's always that, of course, Jaguars.
More offensive line with Matt Hayes.
We are also breaking down our SEC and Big Ten champions as well as our predicted playoff participants. It's 12 teams this year, everyone. And before everyone, you got to remember this. The champions of the 4 Power 4 conferences, the SEC, the Big Ten, the ACC, and the Big 12, all get first-round buys.
Mm-hmm.
So the champion could be 9-4 in the Big 12 and still get a first-round buy.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see if they don't change that eventually.
That will be a conversation.
In 26, that'll be changed.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Matt. We'll be listening.
All right, ladies, thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for us today. For Taylor Dahl, for the absent Mia O'Brien, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. Don't go anywhere. XL Primetime does come up next until 4 o'clock, and then the Jaguars programming takes over. These heels are made for talking, and we will talk to you on Monday. Have a good weekend, everybody.